Your girl, if it's God is coming at you one more again. Let's get in here with the cave of the nymph. Let me edit that real quick. What I hate about StreamYard, Restream, you got the damn edit the damn title every time you get ready to go live. Every time you go live, shit. Listen to them little fuckers in there.
On the Cave of the Nymphs, in the 13th book of the Odyssey, from the Greek of Porphyry. Translated by Thomas Taylor. Read by Dan Attrell. What does Homer obscurely signify by the cave in Ithaca, which he describes in the following verses? High at the end of a branching olive grows, and crowns the pointed cliffs with shady boughs. A cavern pleasant, though involved in night. Beneath it lies the Naiades' delight. Where bowls and urns of workmanship divine, and massy beams in native marble shine, on which the nymphs amazing webs display, of purple hue and exquisite array. The busy bees within the urns secure honey delicious, and like nectar pure. Perpetual water through the grotto glide, a lofty gate unfolds on either side, that to the north is pervious to mankind, the sacred south to mortals is consigned. That the poet indeed does not narrate the particulars from his formation is evident this, that those who have given us description of the island, as Cronius says, made no mention of such a cave being found in it. This, likewise, says he, is manifest that it would be absurd to Homer to expect that, in describing a cave fabricated merely by poetical license, and thus artificially opening a path to gods and men in the region of Ithaca, he should gain the belief of mankind. And it is equally absurd to suppose that nature herself should point out, in this place, one path for the descent of all mankind, and again another path for all the gods. For indeed, the whole world is full of gods and men, but it is impossible to be persuaded that in the Ithacensian cave men descend and God ascend. Cronius, therefore, having premised this much, says that it is evident, not only to the wise but also to the vulgar, that the poet, under the veil of allegory, conceals some mysterious signification, thus compelling others to explore what the gate of men is, and also what the gate of the gods. What he means by asserting that this cave of the nymphs has two gates, and why it is both pleasant and obscure, since darkness is by no means delightful, but it is rather productive of aversion and horror. Likewise, what is the reason why it is not simply said to be the cave of the nymphs, but it is accurately added, of the nymphs which are called Naiades? Why also is the cave represented as containing bowls and amphorae, when no mention is made of their receiving any liquor, but bees are said to deposit their honey in these vessels as in hives? Then again, why are oblong beams adapted to weaving placed here for the nymphs, and these not formed from wood or any other pliable matter, but from stone, as well as the amphorae and the bowls? Which last circumstance is, indeed, less obscure, but that on these stony beams the nymphs should weave purple garments, is not only wonderful to the sight, but also to auditory sense. For Who would believe that goddesses weave garments in a cave involved in darkness and on stony beams? Especially while he hears the poet asserting that the purple webs of the goddesses were visible. In addition to these things, likewise, this is admirable that the cave should have a twofold entrance. One made for the descent of man, but the other for the ascent of the gods. And again, that the gate, which is pervious by men, should be said to be turned against the north wind, but the portal of the gods to the south. And why the poet did not rather make use of the west and the east for this purpose, since nearly all the temples have their statues and entrances turned towards the east. But those who enter them look toward the west, when standing with their faces turned towards the statues they honor and worship. Hence, since this narration is full of such obscurities, it can neither be a fiction casually devised for the purpose of procuring delight, nor an exposition of a topical history, but something allegorical might be indicated in it by the poet, who likewise mystically places an olive near the cave. All which particulars the ancients thought very laborious to investigate and unfold, and we, with their assistance, shall now endeavor to develop the secret meaning of the allegory. Those persons, therefore, appear to have written very negligently about the situation of the place, who think that the cave and what is narrated concerning it are nothing more than a notion of the poet. But the best and most accurate writers of geography, and among these Artemidorus the Ephesian, in the 5th book of his work, which consists of 11 books, thus writes, "The island of Ithaca, containing an extent of 85 stadia, is distant from Panormus, a port of Cephallenia, about 12 stadia. It has a port named Phorcus, in which there is a shore, and on that shore a cave, in which the Phaeacians are reported to have placed Ulysses. This cave, therefore, will not be entirely an Homeric fiction. But whether the poet describes it as it really is, or whether he has added something to it of his own invention, nevertheless the same inquiries remain, whether the intention of the poet is investigated, or of those who founded the cave. For neither did the ancients establish temples without fabulous symbols, nor does Homer rashly narrate the particulars pertaining to things of this kind. But how much the more anyone endeavors to show that this description of the cave is not an Homeric fiction, but prior to Homer was consecrated to the gods, by so much the more will this consecrated cave be found to be full of ancient wisdom. And on this account it deserves to be investigated, and it is requisite that this symbolical consecration should be amply unfolded into light. The ancients indeed very properly consecrated a cave to the world, whether assumed collectively according to the whole of itself, or separately according to its parts. Hence they considered earth as a symbol of that matter of which the world consists, on which account some thought that matter and earth are the same, through the cave indicating the world which was generated from matter. For caves are, for the most part, spontaneous productions and co-nascent with the earth, being comprehended by one uniform mass of stone, the interior parts of which are concave, but the exterior parts are extended over an indefinite portion of land. And the world being spontaneously produced, that is, being produced by no external, but from an internal cause, and being also self-adherent, is allied to matter, which, according to a secret signification, is denominated a stone and a rock, on account of its sluggish and repercussive nature with respect to form. The ancients, at the same time, asserting that matter is infinite through its privation of form. Since, however, it is continually flowing, and is of itself destitute of the supervening investments of form, through which it participates of morphe, and becomes visible, the flowing waters, darkness, or as the poet says, obscurity of the cavern, were considered by the ancients as apt symbols of what the world contains, on account of the matter with which it is connected. Through matter, therefore, the world is obscure and dark. but through the connecting power and orderly distribution of form, from which also it is called world, it is beautiful and delightful. Hence it may very properly be denominated a cave, as being lovely indeed to him who first enters into it through its participation of forms, but obscure to him who surveys its foundation and examines it with an intellectual eye, so that its exterior and superficial parts indeed are pleasant, but its interior and profound parts are obscure, and its very bottom is darkness itself. Thus also the Persians, mystically signifying the descent of the soul into the sublunary regions, and its regression from it, initiate the mystic.
It is beautiful and delightful. Hence it may very properly be denominated a cave, as being lovely indeed to him who first enters into it through its participation of forms, but obscure to him who surveys its foundation and examines it with an intellectual eye, so that its exterior and superficial parts indeed are pleasant, but its interior and profound parts are obscure, and its very bottom is darkness itself. Thus also the Persians, mystically signifying the descent of the soul into the sublunary regions, and its regression from it, initiate the mystic, or him who is admitted to the arcane secret rites, in a place which they denominate a cavern. For as Eubulus says, Zoroaster was the first who consecrated in the neighboring mountains of Persia a spontaneously produced cave, florid and having fountains, in honor of Mithra, the maker and father of all things. A cave, according to Zoroaster, bearing a resemblance of the world, which was fabricated by Mithra. The things contained in the cavern, being arranged according to commensurate intervals, were symbols of the mundane elements and climates. After this Zoroaster, it was usual for others to perform the rites pertaining to the mysteries in caverns and dens, whether spontaneously produced or made by the hands. For as they established temples, groves, and altars to the celestial gods, but to the terrestrial gods and to heroes altars alone, and to the subterranean divinities pits and cells, so to the world they dedicated caves and dens, as likewise to nymphs, on account of the water which trickles or is diffused in caverns, over which the Naiades, as we shall shortly observe, preside. Not only, however, did the ancients make a cavern, as we have said, to be a symbol of the world or of a generated and sensible nature, but they also assumed it as a symbol of all invisible powers, because as caverns are obscure and dark, so the essence of these powers is occult. Hence Saturn fabricated a cavern in the ocean itself, and concealed in it his children. Thus, too, Ceres educated Proserpine with her nymphs in a cave, and many other particulars of this kind may be found in the writings of the theologians. But that the ancients dedicated caverns to nymphs, and especially to Naiades, who dwell near fountains and are called Naiades from the streams over which they preside, is manifest from the hymn to Apollo, in which it is said, "The nymphs residing in caves shall deduce fountains of intellectual waters to thee, according to the divine voice of the Muses, which are the progeny of a terrene spirit. Hence waters, bursting through every river, shall exhibit to mankind perpetual effusions of sweet streams." From hence, as it appears to me, the Pythagoreans, and after them Plato, showed that the world is a cavern and a den. For the powers which are the leaders of souls thus speak in a verse of Empedocles, "Now at this secret cavern we're arrived." And by Plato, in the 7th book of his Republic, it is said, "Behold men as if they were dwelling in a subterraneous cavern, and in a den-like habitation, whose entrance is widely expanded to the admission of the light throughout the whole cave." But when the other person in the dialogue says, "You adduce an unusual and wonderful similitude," he replies, "The whole of this image, friend Glaucon, must be adapted to what has been before said, assimilating this receptacle, which is visible through the sight, to the habitation of a prison. but the light of the fire which is in it to the power of the sun. That theologians therefore considered caverns as symbols of the world and of mundane powers is through this manifest. And it has already been observed by us that they also considered a cave as a symbol of the intelligible essence, being impelled to do so by different and not the same conceptions. For they were of the opinion that a cave is a symbol of the sensible world, because caverns are dark, stony, and humid. And they assert that the world is a thing of this kind, through the matter of which it consists, and through its repercussive and flowing nature. But they thought it to be a symbol of the intelligible world, because that world is invisible to sensible perception, and possesses a firm and stable essence. Thus, also, partial powers are unapparent, and especially those which are inherent in matter. For they formed these symbols from surveying the spontaneous production of caves, and their nocturnal, dark, and stony nature, and not entirely, as some suspect, from directing their attention to the figure of a cavern, for every cave is not spherical, as is evident from this Homeric cave with a twofold entrance, but since a cavern has a twofold similitude, the present cave must not be assumed as an image of the intelligible, but of the sensible essence. For, in consequence of containing perpetually flowing streams of water, it will not be a symbol of an intelligible hypostasis, but of a material essence. On this account also, it is sacred to nymphs, not the mountain or rural nymphs, or others of like kind, but to the Naiades, who are thus denominated from streams of water. For we peculiarly call the Naiades and the powers that preside over waters nymphs, and this term also is commonly applied to all souls descending into generation. For the ancients thought that these souls are incumbent on water, which is inspired by divinity, as Numenius says, who adds that, on this account, a prophet asserts that the Spirit of God moved on the waters. The Egyptians, likewise, on this account, represent all daimons, and also the sun, and in short, all the planets, not standing on anything solid, but on a sailing vessel. For souls descending into generation fly to moisture. Hence also Heraclitus says that moisture appears delightful and not deadly to souls, but the lapse into generation is delightful to them. And in another place, speaking of unembodied souls, he says, "We live their death, and we die their life." Hence the poet calls those that are in generation humid, because they have souls which are profoundly steeped in moisture. On this account, such souls delight in blood and humid seed, but water is the nutriment of the souls of plants. Some likewise are of the opinion that bodies in the air and in the heavens are nourished by vapors from fountains and rivers and other exhalations, but the Stoics assert that the sun is nourished by the exhalation from the sea, the moon from the vapors of fountains and rivers, and the stars from the exhalation of the earth. Hence, according to them, the sun is an intellectual composition formed from the sea, the moon from the river waters, and the stars from terrene exhalations. It is necessary, therefore, that souls, whether they are corporeal or incorporeal, while they attract to themselves body, and especially such as are about to be bound to blood and moist bodies, should verge to humidity and be corporalized in consequence of being drenched in moisture. Hence the souls of the dead are evocated by the effusion of bile and blood, and souls that are lovers of body, by attracting a moist spirit, condense this humid vehicle like a cloud. For moisture condensed in the air constitutes a cloud, but the pneumatic vehicle being condensed in these souls becomes visible through an excess of moisture, and among the number of these we must reckon those apparitions of images which, from a spirit colored by the influence of imagination, present themselves to mankind. But pure souls are averse from generation, so that, as Heraclitus says, a dry soul is the wisest. Hence here also the spirit becomes moist and more aqueous through the desire of generation. The soul thus attracting a humid vapor from verging to generation. Souls, therefore, proceeding into generation, are the nymphs called Naiades. Hence it is usual to call those that are married nymphs, as being conjoined to generation, and to pour water into baths from fountains or rivers or perpetual streams. This world, then, is sacred and pleasant to souls who have now proceeded into nature, and to natal demons, though it is essentially dark and obscure, from which some have suspected that souls are of an obscure nature and essentially consist of air. Hence a cavern, which is both pleasant and dark, will be appropriately consecrated to souls on the earth, conformably to its similitude to the world in which, as the greatest of all temples, souls reside. To the nymphs, likewise, who preside over the waters, a cavern in which there are perpetually flowing streams is adapted. Let therefore this present cavern be consecrated to souls, and among the more partial powers, to nymphs that preside over streams and fountains, and who on this account are called fontal and naiades. What, therefore, are the different symbols, some of which are adapted to souls, but others to the aquatic powers, in order that we may apprehend that this cavern is consecrated in common to both? Let the stony bowls, then, and the amphorae be symbols of the aquatic nymphs, for these are, indeed, the symbols of Bacchus, but their composition is fictile, that is, consists of baked earth, and these are friendly to the vine, the gift of God, since the fruit of the vine is brought to a proper maturity by the celestial fire of the sun. But the stony bowls and amphorae are in the most eminent degree adapted to the nymphs who preside over the water that flows from rocks, and to souls that descend into generation, and are occupied in corporeal energies. What symbol can be more appropriate than those instruments pertaining to weaving? Hence, also, the poet ventures to say that on these the nymphs weave purple webs, admirable to the view. For the formation of the flesh is on and about the bones, which in the bodies of animals resemble stones. Hence these instruments of weaving consist of stone, and not of any other matter. But the purple webs will evidently be the flesh which is woven from the blood, for the purple woolen garments are tinged from blood, and wool is dyed from animal juice. The generation of flesh also is through and from blood. Add, too, that the body is a garment with which the soul is invested, a thing wonderful to the sight, whether this refers to the composition of the soul, or contributes to the colligation of the soul to the whole of a visible essence. Thus also Proserpine, who is the inspective guardian of everything produced from seed, is represented by Orpheus as weaving a web, and the heavens are called by the ancients a veil, in consequence of being, as it were, the vestment of the celestial gods. Why, therefore, are the amphorae said not to be filled with water, but with honeycombs? For in these, Homer says the bees deposit their honey, which signifies to deposit aliment, and honey is the nutriment of bees. Theologians also have made honey subservient to many and different symbols because it consists of many powers, since it is both cathartic and preservative. Hence, through honey, bodies are preserved from putrefaction, and inveterate ulcers are purified. Farther still, it is also sweet to the taste, and it is collected by bees, who are ox-begotten from flowers. And therefore, those who are initiated in the Leontic sacred rites pour honey instead of water on their hands. They are ordered by the initiator to have their hands pure from everything productive of molestation, and from everything noxious and detestable. Other initiators into the same mysteries employ fire, which is of a cathartic nature, as an appropriate purification. And they likewise purify the tongue of all defilements of evil with honey. But the Persians, when they offer honey to the guardian of fruits, consider it as the symbol of a preserving and defending power. Hence some persons have thought that the nectar and ambrosia which the poet pours into the nostrils of the dead for the purpose of preventing putrefaction is honey, since honey is the food of the gods. On this account also, the same poet somewhere calls nectar golden, for such is the color of honey, that is, it's a deep yellow. But whether or not honey is to be taken for nectar, we shall elsewhere more accurately examine. In Orpheus, likewise, Saturn is ensnared by Jupiter through honey. For Saturn, being filled with honey, is intoxicated. His senses are darkened, as if from the effects of wine, and he sleeps, just as Porus, in the banquet of Plato, is filled with nectar. For wine was not, says he, yet known. Goddess Night, too, in Orpheus, advises Jupiter to make use of honey as an artifice. For she says to him, "When stretched beneath the lofty oaks you view Saturn, with honey by the bees produced, sunk in drunkenness, fast bind the god." This therefore takes place, and Saturn being bound is emasculated in the same manner as heaven. The theologians obscurely signifying by this that divine natures become, through pleasure, bound, and drawn down into the realms of generation, and also that, when dissolved in pleasure, they emit certain seminal powers. Hence Saturn emasculates heaven when descending to earth through a desire of generation. But the sweetness of honey signifies, with theologians, the same thing as the pleasure arising from generation, by which Saturn, being ensnared, was castrated. For Saturn and his sphere are the first of the orbs that move contrary to the course of heaven. Certain powers, however, descend from both heaven, or the inerratic sphere, and the planets. But Saturn receives the power of heaven, and Jupiter the powers of Saturn. Since, therefore, honey is assumed in purgations and as an antidote to putrefaction, and is indicative of the pleasures which draws souls downward to generation, it is a symbol well adapted to aquatic nymphs, on account of the unputrescent nature of the waters over which they preside, their purifying power, and their cooperation with generation. For water cooperates in the work of generation. On this account, the bees are said by the poet to deposit their honey in the bowls and amphorae, the bowls being a symbol of fountains, and therefore a bowl is placed near to Mithra instead of a fountain. But the amphora are symbols of the vessels with which we draw water from fountains, and fountains and streams are adapted to aquatic nymphs, and still more so to the nymphs that are souls, which the ancient peculiarly called bees, as the efficient causes of sweetness. Hence Sophocles does not speak inappropriately when he says of souls, "In swarms while wandering from the dead, a humming sound is heard." The priestesses of Ceres also, as being initiated into the mysteries of the terrene goddess, were called by the ancients bees, and Proserpine herself was denominated by them honeyed. The moon, likewise, who presides over generation, was called by them a bee, and also a bull, and Taurus is the exaltation of the moon. But bees are ox-begotten, and this application is also given to souls proceeding into generation. The god, likewise, who is occultly connected with generation, is a stealer of oxen, to which may be added that honey is considered as a symbol of death, and on this account it is usual to offer libations of honey to the terrestrial gods, but gall is considered as a symbol of life, whether it is obscurely signified by this, that the life of the soul dies through pleasure, but through bitterness the soul resumed its life, whence also bile is sacrificed to the gods, or whether it is because death liberates from molestation, but the present life is laborious and bitter. All souls, however, proceeding into generation, are not simply called bees, but those who live in it justly, and who, after performing such things as are acceptable to the gods, will again return to their kindred stars. For this insect loves to return to the place from whence it first came, and is eminently just and sober. Whence also the libations which are made with honey are called sober. Bees, likewise, do not sit on beans, which were considered by the ancients as a symbol of generation proceeding in a right line and without flexure, because this leguminous vegetable is almost the only seed-bearing plant whose stalk is perforated through without any intervening knots. We must therefore admit that honeycombs and bees are appropriate and common symbols of the aquatic nymphs and of souls that are married, as it were, to the humid and fluctuating nature of generation. Caves, therefore, in the most remote periods of antiquity, were consecrated to the gods, before temples were erected to them. Hence the Curetes in Crete dedicated a cavern to Jupiter. In Arcadia, a cave was sacred to the moon, and to Lycian Pan, and in Naxos, Bacchus. But wherever Mithra was known, they propitiated the god in a cavern. With respect, however, to the Ithacensian cave, Homer was not satisfied with saying that it had 2 gates, but adds that one of the gates was turned toward the north, but the other, which was more divine, to the south. He also says that the northern gate was pervious to descent, but does not indicate whether this was also the case with the southern gate, for of this he only says, "It is inaccessible to men, but it is the path of the immortals." It remains, therefore, to investigate what is indicated by this narration, whether the poet describes a cavern which is in reality consecrated by others, or whether it is an enigma of his own invention. Since, however, a cavern is an image and a symbol of the world, as Numenius and his familiar Cronius assert, there are 2 extremities in the heavens, namely the winter tropic, than which nothing is more southern, and the summer tropic, than which nothing is more northern. But the summer tropic is in Cancer, and the winter tropic in Capricorn, and since Cancer is nearest to us, it is very properly attributed to the moon, which is the nearest of all the heavenly bodies to the earth. But as the southern pole by its great distance is invisible to us, hence Capricorn is attributed to Saturn, the highest and most remote of all planets. Again, the signs from Cancer to Capricorn are situated in the following order, and the first of these is Leo, which is the house of the Sun, afterwards Virgo, which is the house of Mercury, Libra, the house of Venus, Scorpio, of Mars, Sagittarius, of Jupiter, and Capricorn, of Saturn. But from Capricorn in an inverse order, Aquarius is attributed to Saturn, Pisces to Jupiter, Aries to Mars, Taurus to Venus, Gemini to Mercury, and in the last place, Cancer to the Moon. Theologians, therefore, assert that these 2 gates are Cancer and Capricorn, but Plato calls them entrances. And of these, theologians say that Cancer is the gate through which souls descend, but Capricorn that through which they ascend. Cancer is indeed northern and adapted to descent, but Capricorn is southern and adapted to ascent. The northern parts, likewise, pertain to souls descending into generation, and the gates of the cavern, which are turned toward the north, are rightly said to be pervious to the descent of men, but the southern gates are not the avenues of the gods, but of souls ascending to the gods. On this account, the poet does not say that they are the avenues of the gods, but of immortals. This appellation being also common to our souls, which are per se, or essentially, immortal. It is said that Parmenides mentions these two gates in his treatise on the nature of things, as likewise that they are not unknown to the Romans and Egyptians. For the Romans celebrate their Saturnalia when the sun is in Capricorn, and during this festivity slaves wear the shoes of those that are free, and all things are distributed among them in common. The legislator obscurely signifying by this ceremony that through this gate of the heavens those who are now born slaves will be liberated through the Saturnian festival, and the house attributed to Saturn, that is Capricorn, when they live again and return to the fountain of life. Since, however, the path from Capricorn is adapted to ascent, hence the Romans denominate that month in which the sun, turning from Capricorn to the east, directs his course to the north, Januanus, or January, from Janua, a gate. But with the Egyptians, the beginning of the year is not Aquarius, as with the Romans, but Cancer. For the star, Sothis, which the Greeks call the dog, is near to Cancer. And the rising of Sothis is the new moon with them, this being the principle of generation to the world. On this account, the gates of the Homeric cavern are not dedicated to the east and west, nor the equinoctial signs, Aries and Libra, but to the north and south, and to those celestial signs which towards the south are most southerly, and towards the north are most northerly, because this cave was sacred to Sothis and the aquatic nymphs. But these places are adapted to souls descending into generation, and afterwards separating themselves from it. Hence a place near to the equinoctial circle was assigned to Mithra as an appropriate seat, and on this account he bears the sword of Aries, which is a martial sign. He is likewise carried in the bull, which is the sign of Venus, for Mithra, as well as the bull, is the demiurgus and lord of generation. But he is placed near the equinoctial circle, having the northern parts on his right hand and the southern on his left. They likewise arranged towards the south the southern hemisphere, because it is hot, but the northern hemisphere towards the north through the coldness of the north wind. The ancients likewise very reasonably connected winds with souls proceeding into generation, and again separating themselves from it, because, as some think, souls attract spirit and have a pneumatic essence. But the north wind is adapted to souls falling into generation, and on this account the northern blasts refresh those who are dying, and when they can scarcely draw their breath. On the contrary, the southern gales dissolve life. For the northern wind, indeed, from its superior coldness, congeals, as it were, the animal life, and retains it in the frigidity of terrene generation. But the south wind, being hot, dissolves this life and sends it upward to the heat of a divine nature. Since, however, our terrene habitation is more northern, it is proper that souls which are born in it should be familiar with the north wind, but those who exchange this life for a better, with the south wind. This is also the cause why the north wind is at its commencement great, but the south wind at its termination. For the former is situated directly over the inhabitants of the northern part of the globe, but the latter is at a great distance from them, and the blast from places very remote is more tardy than from such as are near, but when it is coacervated, then it blows abundantly and with vigor. Since, however, souls proceed into generation through the northern gate, hence this wind is said to be amatory. For, as the poet says, and forgive me for my pronunciation, which doesn't allow for the rhyme, Boreas enamored of the sprightly train, concealed his godhead in a flowing mane. With voice dissembled to his loves he made, and coursed the dappled beauties over the mead. Hence sprung 12 others of unrivalled kind, swift as their mother mares and father wind. It is also said that Boreas ravished Orythia, for whom she begot Zetis and Calais. But as the south is attributed to the gods, hence when the sun is at its meridian, the curtains in temples are drawn before the statues of the gods, in consequence of observing the Homeric precept that it is not lawful for men to enter temples when the sun is inclined to the south, for this is the path of the immortals. Hence, when the god is at his meridian altitude, the ancients placed a symbol of midday and of the south in the gates of the temples, and on this account in other gates also. It was not lawful to speak at all times, because gates were considered as sacred. Hence, too, the Pythagoreans and the wise men among the Egyptians forbade speaking while passing through doors or gates, for then they venerated in silence that God who is the principle of wholes, and therefore of all things. Homer likewise knew that gates are sacred, as is evident from his representing Oeneus when supplicating, shaking the gate. The gates he shakes and supplicate. Dionysius the Areopagite, Mystic Theology. Translation by John Parker, 1897. Read by Dan Attrell. Mystic Theology. What is the divine gloom? Triad supernal, both super-God and super-good, guardian of the theosophy of Christian men, direct us aright to the super-unknown and super-brilliant and highest summit of the mystic oracles, where the simple and absolute and changeless mysteries of theology lie hidden within the superluminous gloom of the silence, revealing hidden things, which in its deepest darkness shines above the most super-brilliant, and in the altogether impalpable and indivisible fills to overflowing the eyeless minds with glory's surpassing beauty. This then be my prayer. But thou, O dear Timothy, by thy persistent commerce with the mystic visions, leave behind both sensible perceptions and the intellectual efforts, and all objects of sense and intelligence, and all things not being, and be raised aloft unknowingly to the union, as far as attainable, with him who is above every essence and knowledge. For by the resistless and absolute ecstasy in all purity, from thyself and all, thou wilt be carried on high to the super-essential ray of the divine darkness, when thou hast cast away all and become free from all.
Hello, hello, hello to all of my Capricorns. This is Queen Amun-Ra coming to you with your general reading, This reading is for Wednesday, the 17th of May through the 17th of June. We're coming up on the new moon phase in Taurus. New moon is all about the new you, new cycle, new things you want to manifest, right? So on this past Sunday, Capricorn, I gave everybody transformational power questions from your root chakra all the way up to your crown chakra. You can use those at any time. I didn't want to bombard you with the questions specifically for this upcoming new moon phase in Taurus because it would have been too overwhelming. So I'm going to give you those questions today. We're going to go ahead and get right into your reading. To prepare you for this new moon phase in Taurus. We are currently experiencing the last quarter moon phase in Aquarius. We're in a waning crescent moon phase. Waning crescent moon phase is a time of self-care, self-kindness, and self-forgiveness. This is where you don't want to be tempted to overwork, but instead focus on activities that recharge your batteries and give you a sense of rejuvenation and peace, rather than things that will continue to drain your energy emotionally, right? Let's get into it. Let's get right into it. let's get into it. We're going to clear up some things for somebody. I'm going to clear up some things. All right, Capricorns. I'm talking to you if you have Capricorn anywhere in your chart, not just your sun, moon, rising, or Venus, but anywhere in your chart. All right, we got the 3 of spades, the 2 of spades. We had the 4 of diamonds. Nice. We also had the 10 of diamonds. Very, very nice. We also have the 9 of diamonds, and we also have the 8 of diamonds. I'm talking to you if you have Capricorn anywhere in your chart, not just your sun, moon, rising, or Venus, Capricorn. Even if Capricorn is your MC or IC, if you don't know what those are, I have a second channel in the description. It's called the Knowledge Channel. That'll help you, MCIC, to help you understand what those mean. And then also, if you're on the cusp of Aquarius or on the cusp of Sagittarius, I'm talking to you as well. All right. So we had the 3 of spades and also the 2 of spades. And by the way, if you grew up in a family where people were playing cards, they were actually teaching you how to read tarot, whether you knew it or whether they knew what they were doing. But I'm gonna teach you. So I know you all love to learn. So anyway, here we have the 3 and 2 of spades. So it looks like Source is saying to you, your heart was deeply broken and you're on the mend. And
I know that. I told y'all that you can read cards, you can read playing cards. That's what my parents didn't allow us to play cards when I was growing up. Oh, hell no, you better not get caught with no damn deck of playing cards. Not in Reverend E.K. Hall in Lower Hall House.
And this 2 of swords, like somebody was in denial about some situations, like deeply in denial. Your heart was right. Your heart was in the right place about those energies. But what Source is also trying to say is that those overthinking those energies, whether it's in your romantic life, past, it could even be somebody that you love or people that you love that keep breaking your heart, whether they ghosting you, gaslighting you, keeping you in a state of confusion, whatever is breaking your heart. Source is saying that's also cutting into your time, and time is money. Diamond's energy is also Pentacles energy, right? So if you've been tuned into my channel long enough, now I can pull out these cards because I could have taught you on these cards the very first video you tuned in. But we also have the other cards. We're going to also teach you here. All of this is money. So Source is saying, get crystal clear about your money, your stability, your security, your financial success, your career success, your prosperity. Like, get crystal clear about those things, because the energies that, like I said before, it's a pivotal point in your life. 3 and 2 is 5. I need more than 2 hands. So 3 and 2 is 5. 5 means that it's a pivotal point when it comes to your heart. Do you keep letting people ghost you, gaslight you, break your heart? We're talking about parents. We're talking about siblings. We're talking about, let me just say, we're talking about in your personal life, whether they're friends, family, whomever, love interest, whatever, past love interest. Or do you move forward and say, I love them, but I love me more? What's it going to be? I love them, but I love me more. My heart is in the right place, but I love me more, right? Doesn't matter. The energy is cutting into your money. So what Source is trying to tell you, this 10 of Pentacles right here, is your legacy. What do you want your legacy to be? When you really think about it, what do you want your legacy to be? That's what Source is trying to get somebody to see. It's your legacy. What do you want it to be? Do you want your legacy to be you're so emotionally drained and checked out from people that you love that you can't even focus? It keeps cutting into your day. It keeps cutting into your time. We also have the 9 of Pentacles. This is financial independence. Source is trying to make somebody financially independent. Like I said, you can keep doubting your heart. Remember, the heart chakra the heart is tricky because it's connected to thinking. And so it has a mind of its own. I love you, but you keep gaslighting and ghosting me. I love you, but you keep saying things that hurt me. So now you got to justify, or you said or did something that really hurt me. You ghosted me. You manipulated me. You were a narcissist. All this other stuff. So to say, you're overthinking this, right? You're cutting into your own money. Also, we have the 8 of Pentacles, and so Source is saying to you, you need to get laser focused about your money and stop overthinking it. Somebody is cutting their own money in half. Here we have 4 and 8, right? And so 4 and 8 is what? 12. 12 reduces to 3. 3 is the number of I'm taking what I learned from the past, but I'm optimistically moving forward. My future is bulging, bright. It's bright, right? So I'm not gonna cut my own money in half by sitting around ruminating over. I wonder if they're gonna call me. I wonder if they're gonna apologize. I wonder if they're gonna clear some things up. Wonder. What do you? It's your universe. You hold the keys to your own universe, right? So you got this. You got this, Capricorn. You don't have to. I wonder, I'm all of this overthinking about something. So source is like, come on, get it together. Get it together. That's cutting into your time, cutting into your money. You overthinking things. So that's what I'm seeing for you. That's what I'm seeing for you so far. That is what I'm seeing for you so far. So when you were sitting down and your family was playing bid whist and poker and spades and all the other card games and stuff like that, they were actually teaching you tarot. They were teaching you tarot. So they were teaching you the power of numbers. Cards. You sitting down there getting mad, slamming cards down on the table and didn't even realize you can read people's energy by playing cards. All right, let's keep it moving forward. Here we have the 7 of, well, not by playing cards, but you can read using the cards. Here you can pick up on the energy using the cards. Here we have the 7 of diamonds. Also, again, more money. Here we have the 10 of spades. We have the Joker card. We also have the 9 of spades, the 4 of spades. We also have the Queen of Clubs. All right, so here we go. All right, so somebody definitely was trying to play you for a fool. They were trying to play you for a fool, but it came out in upright. So what source is saying to you, they played themselves. Whoever thought they was playing you, they played themselves. And so for you right here, source is saying to you, your heart, again, was in the right place, but this number 9 lets me know it's a death and rebirth happening here. You are ending it with them, whoever it is. You're not waiting for an apology. You're not waiting for clarification, for them to clear it up and, oh, you know what, I was in the wrong. I should have known X, Y, and Z. You're like, I don't need it's my universe. I held the keys to my own universe. So I don't need whatever explanation you coming with. It's not even going to make sense. It's not even going to make sense. Yeah. Here we have the Queen right here. So I see somebody feeling happy, charismatic, and free. I see you feeling happy, charismatic, and free moving forward. Like it's almost like your energy level has increased. Like, you know what? That's what I needed to hear to go ahead and close out some cycles. I don't need their permission to lock my own door, to put them out of my house and lock my own door. I don't have to stand at my front door with my pajamas on, with with anything in my hand. I don't need to stand in my front door, like giving them all kinds of signs that it's time for them to leave my universe, or I'm waiting for them to say one last thing or call me with an apology. I don't need to give them access to my universe anymore. Again, like I said, you've already gone through a lot of heartbreak. You've already gone through a lot of, this is the 10 of swords. You've already gone through a whole lot of heartbreak. You've already gone through the backstabbing, the people who were committed to misunderstanding you. You left a lot of things behind, but the reason why your heart is still in it is because to some degree, this is image driven. This is, I wonder what people are thinking about me. I wonder what they're going to say. Maybe I came from, a family that sits around and gossips about people. Maybe, if you were a child of divorced parents, I sat around and I watched this side of the family that I love talk negatively about the other side of the family. And even though I love that side of the family, I'm afraid that if I cut them off, then they're going to say the same. They're going to cut me off too. They're going to talk about me. They're going to cut into my reputation, cut into this and that. It had to start with somebody's family. I wonder what they're going to say about me. But the way that so that energy could have also transferred outside of your loved ones, outside of your romantic relationship. I'm afraid to leave this marriage behind, or I'm afraid to leave this partnership behind, or this friendship or this romantic relationship behind, because I'm tired of people talking about me behind my back. And guess what? Now I don't trust anybody. You don't need to trust anybody. You need to trust source, right? Anybody has to earn your trust. Humans have to earn your trust. So I share a little bit about me. You share a little bit about you. Depending on how you handle that information, then I feel like I can share more, and then more and more and more, right? So here we also have this 4. So somebody is definitely, like I said, ruminating. Somebody is ruminating, overthinking certain things. But all of these swords equaling all of this pentacles right here, you're cutting right into your money. It's like one half, I can't leave certain people behind because what are they going to say? But am I going to be by myself? What are people going to think? People who genuinely love you will accept your departure and not say anything negative about you. They'll just simply say, I understand. The cycle is closed. I still love you regardless. I just thank God for the time that you had in my life. And you're saying the same thing about them. But I got to move on. All right. All right, let's bring some more color to this. So I see somebody feeling happy, charismatic, and free as you're making your decisions to close out cycles and not being afraid of being alone or being by yourself, because now you're saying, okay, with the time that I'm not around certain people that I already know that I can't trust because I've overheard them talk negatively about other people, I can be using that time to make money. So it's going to start happening like this for somebody. There's going to be some people that you're closing out cycles with, and you're going to know that because you're spending less and less time on the phone with them, less and less FaceTime with them, less and less time with them, because you are waning. Like some people call it weaning, but we're in a waning crescent moon phase. You're phasing them out of your life. Hopefully that makes sense. You're starting to phase certain people out of your life. So you're not giving them as much FaceTime, as much energy, as much attention. Instead, you're being around people who genuinely love you and people who are genuinely pouring healthy emotions and creativity into your universe. Hopefully that makes sense. So you're sort of waning off of them, right? And so this waning crescent moon phase, like I said before, is a time of self-care, self-kindness, self-forgiveness. This is where you're not tempted to just work, because you all are the hardest working sign in the zodiac. So I'm just going to keep on working in hopes that it'll go away. No, I am conscious that the more energy I give to those energies in that fear and doubt, if I cut them out of my life, what are they going to say about me? Guess what? They already been saying it. You just haven't heard it in your face. You heard it through how they talk about other people. Here we have the 5 of Cups. We also have the 3 of Pentacles. We have the 5 of Pentacles, 9 of Pentacles, the Lover's card, and also the 9 of Swords. All right, so something has definitely been a nightmare. You could have been in a relationship with a person that the energy was just a nightmare. It's just really a nightmare for you. And it could have caused you to be like this, ruminating over it. Right? Just ruminating over it, right? The 5 of Cups. Where Source is saying to you, be more conservative with your time, because the more time thinking about it without taking some kind of action, you're cutting into the blessings of the wealth that God is trying to send your way. That could mean an approval for an apartment, an approval for a home. It could be an approval for some more money coming across your path. But Source is like, you got to go ahead and close out some cycles with some energies that are staying connected to you because you're so close. They're using your emotions as a crutch. It's manipulative energy. You know, somebody could be in a relationship with a sex demon, or somebody who does not know how to put their demons under submission, and that energy is contaminating your soil. Yeah, contaminating your soil. Further again, keeping you outside. They're playing all kinds of manipulative games about people that you love. That's why you gotta make people earn information about you so that you don't have to be so tense around people. And so somebody may say something like, for instance, let's say you left one job, something that's like really minor. I mean, I don't know, it depends on how you judge sharing information with people. But let's use something lighthearted. I'm leaving one job and I'm going to the next, right? And some of those people you tell that you're leaving, going to the next job, they're going to be like, oh my God, that's so great. Congratulations. They're not even going to ask you what happened. They're just like happy for you. Oh God, that's awesome. You're going to another job. Wonderful, right? Especially since Source is trying to perfectly align things for you in terms of your money, because you're so close to opening up your vault. And you know what? Let me drill down a little bit. Okay. Let's say, for instance, you're in a relationship with somebody who you told them certain things about your family, because let's say you're dating somebody and you told them certain things about your family, right? And they use those very things against you to manipulate you. There are going to be some family members, even if they found out that you shared some really hurtful moments in your childhood, some family members are going to be like, hey, you know what, baby, that's not a problem at all. You know, if that's what you feel like you need to share just to get it out of you, so it's not sitting in your soil, hey, we don't judge you. We still love you. While there's other family members who are so focused on embarrassment and shame. You bringing shame to the family. How could you tell people such and such and such and such? When that's what you needed to get it out. You can only keep certain things that kind of hurt and pain in you for so long. And this person that you love is using it against you, right? They're manipulating your energy. So now you're looking for their approval. You feel like you got to tell them every little step of the way that you're going through. You got to keep them, because again, they want access to your vault. So you got to pay attention to, if you share things with people, are they going to turn around and use it against you? They'll tell you because they gossip about everybody. They know everybody's business. They always focusing on comparing themselves to your family, and you're comparing themselves to how that's how their energy is. And you'll start to notice that certain people don't want to be around them. Here we have the Three of Pentacles, perfect alignment with your money. Perfect alignment with your money. So, and this is what you're moving towards, Nine of Pentacles, which is financial independence. Nine of Pentacles came out twice, lets me know double independence, double financial independence. You're just going to have to close out some cycles on some people. Here we have the Lover's card. Sources, this right here, somebody has already decided, you tried to play me for a fool. You thought I wanted to marry you. You thought, but again, I'm not a fool. I'm optimistically moving forward. I'm optimistically moving forward. So I don't feel like a fool. Remember, these are the same. This is twin energy. So this is your divine masculine to your divine feminine, right? So now if you're in a relationship with your twin flame, obviously I'm not talking to you. But if you're dating somebody and you just feel like, okay, I feel so emotionally drained, like creatively, I feel so uninspired creatively. That's somebody around you sucking your water out of you. So emotionally, you just feel like your soil is dry. You can't produce any harvest because it's their energy, whether they're sucking it out of you through sex, whether they're sucking it out of you through manipulation and complaining all the time, whether you feel like it's a codependent relationship, I need this person. However, they're sucking the life out of you, that's what they're doing. And it's keeping you, whether, like I said, it can even be your own family that's constantly keeping some drama going. So this is more God's way of saying to you, I'm going to send your twin flame energy across your path, but I'm also sending a business partnership across your path that's going to make you a lot of money. You just need to release some energies. See, somebody is waiting for somebody to tell them directly, you're in a relationship with the wrong person. And because you all are divine feminine signs, you would even, we're looking at the cards here, you would even overthink that. Well, I mean, but the person said, or, just overthinking it. When Source told somebody a long time ago to end something, a long time ago. So bottom line is, if you feel like there's any blockages with your money, or you don't feel if you feel emotionally uninspired, all of that is sacral energy. I mean, all of that is sacral chakra. If you feel like your water is low, that is, that's sacral energy, right? Sacral chakra energy. So please, 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 Capricorn, continue listening to your chakra cleansing music from your root chakra all the way up to your crown chakra. It's free. It's on YouTube, but listen to it on such a regular basis. I'm talking about every single day, so that you're not looking for their toxic water through your ear gate telling you certain things, whether it's manipulation. Manipulation is so many different forms of manipulation, but whether there's through manipulation, whether it's through sex, whether it's through, the temptations around you, if you can go to a beach every single day to just recharge so that you can get your creative juices flowing, because that's going to make somebody very wealthy, very, very wealthy, where you don't need someone else to tell you, to basically complain about what you're doing and versus what you're not doing, keeping you in a state of confusion. So again, Source is trying to make you doubly financially wealthy. Nine of Cups, here we have the Five of Cups, Seven of Pentacles, Ten of Wands, Page of Swords, and also the Four of Swords. Somebody is about to be booked and busy but again, you're going to have to close out cycles before you see this. And so this cycle is waning. We're coming to the end of closing out this cycle, and then we enter into a new phase within a new cycle on the 19th of the month. So booked and busy, not burdened and bitter. Booked and busy, not burdened and bitter at all. Here we also have the Nine of Cups. I'm saying wish fulfillment twice coming into your life. Wish fulfillment coming into your life twice. coming into your life. If you're having, remember all of all of the readings for everybody could be an hour for real, because we're going through so much right now. Mercury is currently post shadow retrograde. So you are going to have to slow down and see things for what they really are. It should not be a stop sign, like boom, but remember, God is going to show you in ways that only you would understand, not another Capricorn, but you, right? Based on how you receive things, based on what you give most of your attention to. So that's why you don't have to be so hard on yourselves. You don't have to be like, what is wrong with me? How come I can't see it? Source is saying to you, all you have to do is ask me, God, show me. And then if it's something that you need me to get out of, give me an exodus strategy out of it. We also have the 9 of Cups. So again, wish fulfillment for you. Wish fulfillment. 9 of Pentacles twice, 9 of Cups. So somebody's going to absolutely receive everything that they wanted to receive, whether it's in a romantic relationship, whether it's in friendships, whether it's in your money, is coming across your path. But somebody needs to wake up from a nightmare. A nightmare. I'm telling you, it is. When you're around people who can't control their emotions, and people who have bullying tendencies, and people who you're not really clear where you stand in a relationship, 20 people can tell you, y'all, you all don't seem like you're even compatible. Somebody would get offended by that instead of listening to what God just sent you a message through somebody saying, you don't seem like you're compatible with that energy, or you don't seem like that's the right job for you. Somebody would take offense to it instead of seeing God sending that message in love. It'd be too busy looking at the messenger versus the message that God sent it through another human being, because that's the way that it would connect with you more so than a blimp flying through the sky with something attached to it saying, leave your job, or leave that friendship, or leave that romantic relationship. That may appeal to another Capricorn, but it may not appeal to you, right? So Source is saying continue getting your rest, but make sure you load up on your water. And when I mean water, what I'm saying is, load up on being by the beach, streams, lakes, ponds, listening to your chakras music, from your root chakra all the way up to your crown chakra. Because again, when you are fighting up against this right here, you all are a very family oriented sign, but you could be dating the wrong person. And then that pride and that ego, we've been together, and people go through highs and lows, but you feel so uninspired that now it's starting to come across as resentment. I feel so uninspired. I feel like creatively, I don't feel joy anymore. People are starting to complain that I'm holding grudges, that I'm negative. There's some energies that are around you that God wants you to say, before you block your own money, Capricorn, go straight to source. Just say, God, help me. If there's anybody in my life right now that you need me to release, let them leave me if I'm not strong enough to leave them. But also give me the strength not to go chase after them and find out why. So I'm not closing out cycles, so they can keep on coming in through my dreams and through telepathy and through other ways. So somebody has definitely, here we had the 5 of Cups twice. Somebody has definitely been lamenting, over some situations. The source is like, is either them or harvest time. Plant the seeds. It's harvest time. 9 of Cups. 9 of Cups came out twice. We had the 9 of Cups came out once. We had the 9 of Spades came out. So 9 of Cups came out. So I'm saying wish fulfillment for you. Wish fulfillment. And then also the Page of Swords. So some kind of anxiety about situations are coming to an end. Some kind of anxiety about situations are coming to an end. And so Source is saying to you, you're headed in the right place. You're headed in the right place. Try not to stress yourselves out. Try really hard not to stress yourselves out. You can wake up from this nightmare. You have, like I said before, and you will wake up from the nightmare. And so remember, time is relative. So the sooner you ask God for help in this, the sooner you'll start seeing some changes happening. Well, like I said, double wealth. You're opening up your vault door. Your money is growing. You're planting seed. You're just in a much better place, right? You're in a much better place. of getting this wish fulfilled. Whatever the wish is, you're getting your wish fulfilled. So congratulations to you all in advance. And like I said, don't ever look at it as like you wasted your time. God will intentionally keep you in situations so that you can learn the lesson, so that you don't have to go back. So don't look at it as a waste of time. Look at it as I'm actually learning lessons. So here's some questions for you. Capricorn. It's going to help you pass these tests. So we have a new moon coming up in Taurus. Taurus is a steadfast sign, and it needs her hooves strongly grounded into the earth. Taurus is one of your sister signs, but it is an earth sign. We're not talking about any Taurus that you know. If you happen to know any low vibrating Taurians, then I'm not talking about them, right? If you feel like I need to go ahead and close out cycles with them, then do what you need to do. But I'm speaking from a spiritual standpoint, not a physical body standpoint. God knows exactly how to get the messages through to you. I'm just shining a light on it. So I'm not your God. It never will be, right? So we're not each other's gods. We're each other's guides. So Taurus is ruled by Venus. Like you all are ruled by Saturn. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is the goddess of love. And so Venus, which is a feminine planet, is always about receiving and creating through human bodies and the earth, right? And the reason why I brought up a sex demon is because a sex demon will drain you of your creativity, will drain you of your joy, leave you in a state of confusion, and you'll keep going back to that energy, confused. Why can't I break up with this person? Why can't I? Until you learn, I need to be around water. I need to drink more water. I need to be at a beach on a regular basis where I'm thinking and my creativity is coming back. I don't feel like I need to. And remember, the first time we experience water is in a womb. So if you're interacting with a sex demon in particular, and remember, I got videos about that on my second channel. Again, the second channel is called the Knowledge Channel below. Somebody's energy has just been a nightmare, and you may have actually been physically having nightmares and not even understanding why you're having nightmares. Here we have the Queen of Pentacles, the Seven of Wands, the Page of Cups, the Four of Swords, the Six of Wands, and also the World card. So Source wants you to close out a cycle and close it out airtight. If you don't know who it is, go straight to God and ask. Here we have the Queen of Pentacles. This is how people see you. This is why they want access to your vault, because that's how people see you. They see you as an asset to their lives and not a liability. So they will keep draining you and keeping you confused until it's like being in a relationship with a narcissist. It is like, I mean, very much so. They can also have sex demons as well. Remember, there's multiple demons. It's not just one. Some people may have several addictions. They could be addicted to drugs, alcohol, sex. Those are three demons right off top, right? They could also be operating in fear about their own future. That's another demon. In a state of confusion, uncertain. All of those are demons, right? So here we have the Four of Swords again. Four of Swords is definitely reiterating, get your rest. Reiterating, get your rest, get your rest, get your rest. Here we have the Page of Cups. This is like fresh water coming into your life. It's like a person coming to visit you and just saying, let's go to the beach. Let's just sit out on the beach. Let's be near water. Let's recharge. And they're pumping great energy into your spirit, and it's an exchange of great energy, coming into your spirit. Has nothing to do with sex, has nothing to do with any other addictions. It's just an exchange of information, of love, like agape love. And so I do see you moving forward. I see you getting as far away from energies that are draining you. And then we have this right here, the Seven of Wands. I see you being able to justify why their energy is just so toxic to you. Not to say it to them, but just in your own spirit. You know what? This energy does not feel healthy for me at all. Doesn't feel healthy for me at all. So here are the questions for you for this moon in Taurus that we're coming up on Friday. First question is, how often do you feel true pleasure? True pleasure. Second question is, do you feel guilty about pursuing pleasure? Third question is, where are the energy blockages in places of tension located in your body? Remember, I gave you all practice questions for each one of your chakras. Go back and listen to Sunday's video. It's going to really, really help you. So if you feel like there's blockages with money, love life, expressing your emotions and creativity, with hearing from God, source, those questions will help you. And it'll also help you to create your own transformational power questions. Usually you would have gotten these questions on Sunday, but I didn't want to overwhelm somebody. So That's why you're getting them today for Wednesday's reading. Fourth question is, can you discern how your body says yes to some things and no to others? And then last but not least is, what does your body need? Remember, Taurus focuses on the physical plane, the matter, the ability to feel sensations and pleasures through their bodies, right? And to see beauty in exquisite objects and environments around us, right? So loving sex or, pleasure and money does not make anybody dirty or greedy or anything like that if it's in healthy ways, right? So even if a person is participating in tantric sex, it's not unhealthy. It's like a healthy sex practice, but you need to know that you're not in a relationship with a sex demon, so that you feel like, okay, why can't I just leave this energy alone? Like, what is it? What's wrong with me? They could have several demons that don't mix with yours. Everybody has demons, everybody. So this is not where you're talking negatively about anybody. It's like, if I'm this addicted to something, then I definitely need to get away from it, because I can't, it's messing up my money. Here we have the Two of Wands. So I see the whole world in front of you. When you leave these energies behind, you don't have a problem attracting what you want, because you're a magnetic sign. So you just got to know, what your demons are to see whether their demons mix with yours or they don't mix with yours. Here we have the nine of coins. Again, more money. Came out 3 times. So Source is trying to triple your wealth. That's what's like Source. And we know that we can stand firm on God's word. We can stand firm on God and just believing in Source. And these energies right here will keep draining you. Here we have the Six of Wands. So again, I see somebody being victorious. The Six of Wands came out twice. We also have the Nine of Swords. Again, there's been 2 energies in particular in your life that's just been a nightmare. 2 energies in particular that's just been a nightmare. And so Source is saying to you, they could be attached to another person, right? And so Source is saying these 2 energies right here, they are out of alignment, right? I know you'll deal with the physical things, the physical existence of things as earth signs, but the 2 energies connected to a third energy, it can be 2 friends that you left behind that still is in contact with somebody that you speak to or in a relationship with every single day. So that's why I want to be specific about it. It could be that too. Some energies that you left behind, Sources like leave that in the past. Their energy has just been a nightmare for you. And then, or if you notice, every time I talk to certain people, I have nightmares, or every time I think about certain people, I have nightmares, and you still may not have been connecting the dots. Here we have the Hermit card. This is reminding somebody that you are whole and complete without certain energies. Actually, you're whole and complete without any energies, but especially without energies that are like been a nightmare in your life, that's been draining you, has been manipulating you, and all sorts of things. Here we have the Four of Wands. Somebody's going to feel like I said, a huge weight has been lifted when you move on from something. So let's talk about another way that I'm also seeing here in the cards, right? So the main thing here is that somebody has made a decision to love themselves, like be married to yourselves. Again, I am not talking to you if you're in a romantic relationship with your person, that's your twin flame. I'm not talking to you. Only take what resonates with you. Somebody has made a decision that if you're not inspiring me, motivating me, if I don't feel like there's clarity in any of my relationships, this twin flame energy means like I can light my own flame, right? Even in your family relationships, if you're not inspiring me, motivating me, if I'm not clear about where we stand, or if you've been bullying me, or I feel like I have low chest posture around you, or if you're disrupting if I feel like I'm eating the wrong foods when I have to interact with you, I don't need you in my life. I can always inspire myself. This is what this also means too. So somebody is saying, I'm closing out the cycle airtight on energies that have burned me out, left me confused, bullied me, whether it's mom, dad, sister, brother, whether it's love interest, past love interest. Source is saying, close out those cycles because those are burning into your money. Another scenario that I'm seeing here too is that you may have closed out some cycles, and some people may have tried to take you to court and they lost, because again, you completely close out cycles airtight. They don't even have access to you. It would be like somebody trying to serve you something and you at the wrong address, or in an address you don't even live at anymore. And the judge says, well, I mean, they need to be served even first. We're not going to let this go into default in your favor. It's going in their favor because you haven't even been able to serve people. So again, That's the importance of closing out cycles. I mean, airtight, and not even letting it come back in through your energy, through your mind. So a lot of different scenarios going on when I read your cards here, but source is saying to you, main thing for you is to move on, to move on, move on, move on, move on. If you haven't already moved on. Just like you attracted, you can attract anything you want, but if you're in a relationship with the wrong person, guess what? Everybody knows it won't take long for you to, it won't take long for you to meet the next person. You just have to close out, because there's people, like I said, people see you as this, both men and women, Capricorn, as the Queen of Pentacles, somebody who is down to earth, quite relatable, someone who is, the wealth is all around you. You know that if you don't get paid from this, the money is going to come from somewhere. You already know, because you already attract energy. So you want to just make sure you clear out any negative energy. Also, Pluto is going to help you do that, and so is Mercury going to help you do that. Further reiterating, 5 of Pentacles. 5 of Pentacles, further reiterating. I want to say, did I see 5? Yeah, 5 of Pentacles here. Somebody is keeping you so drained emotionally and creatively. You're starting to even think, do I even want to live where I live right now? I feel so uninspired. It's because of somebody's in a relationship. They're just draining you. They're literally draining you. But guess what? When you move on from that, booked and busy, creativity coming back, all of that. So even if you with your twin flame, obviously that person is keeping you inspired, motivated, you have mental clarity, you're not confused about that. But if you're not in a relationship with your person, because these people are not already married. These people are getting married or thinking about getting married. Source is saying close out the cycle. So if you're already with your twin flame, I'm not talking to you, but these people are thinking about getting married, and source is like, wrong person. That's not who you want to build a legacy with, because they will keep your soil dry, and you're moving towards this right here. 10 of Pentacles came out first, a double legacy here. Double legacy, double financial independence, double harvest time for you. That could be you and a family member, double harvest time, right? We also have, like I said before, the 10 of Wands. Source is saying to you, source has been saying to you, double booked and busy. Double booked and busy. Double booked and busy, and things are going to speed up for you, because source already knows that if you're leaving something behind that's been draining you of your creativity and your emotions and your water, and it's a codependent, or somebody is using sex as a way to manipulate you in some way, shape, form, or fashion, playing these games to try to get certain things from you, or not talking when you need answers about certain things. They like keeping you in a state of confusion. They're not the one. They are not the one. They're not the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. They need to be gone. All master manipulators. But God is going to keep exposing energies around you until you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. For somebody, that could be for years that you're in something, and then one day you just feel like, wow, I wasted all of these years. And God's like, you didn't waste anything. You stayed in that because you needed to learn lessons. So thank God for whenever it happens. But you want to connect with your ancestors. Somebody comes from some very strong roots, and your ancestors are also going to help you through all of this. And all of this sword energy too. You do have a lot of ancestors around you helping you through, just kind of giving you like a gentle nudge. But every time God sends you a sign, that's going to be at the forefront of somebody's mind when you move on from something. Look how much time I gave this. But not for the purpose of you beating yourselves up. It's really for the purpose of you saying, God, thank you for the amount of time I needed those lessons. So I'll never return back to that again. Now it's time for me to speed up the process of moving on from some things. Always being in a posture of gratitude to source, always. Posture of gratitude to source. God, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing me what I didn't see. So meditate and contemplate. Somebody has definitely been overwhelming in your space. Somebody's energy has just been really, really overwhelming. And like I said, you're playing the little silent games and just... So And then it'll make sense to you why certain people around you didn't want to have anything to do with certain other people around you. But they loved you enough not to be harsh, to say something hurtful. They wanted you, they like, I'm here for you whenever you move on from this. You're not going to hear I told you so or none of that. Here we have 12. I am a visionary. Creativity is a driving force in your life. See, we're talking about somebody's like sucking somebody's creativity away from them. Their energy is just draining you. Your imagination is rich and you are able to express your feelings and insights in unique ways that others can benefit from. I am a visionary. I'm a visionary. I'm a visionary. And let's see if we got some oracle cards here. So we got some oracle cards here. Oracle cards. Somebody has been pressured into, somebody may have been pressured to in the past. Some of you all may already be through this. Maybe you were married to a narcissist, and now it makes sense to you that, oh wow, this is where I was in my life. This is how I missed it. This is the frequency I was on. It's not for the purpose of you beating yourselves up. This is for the purpose of you loving yourselves deeper enough that I'm okay with being by myself until the right energy comes along. I'm not desperate. I'm not running from anything. I'm not running from an insensitive family. I'm not running from my past. I'm not running from anything. So I feel so secure with who I am that now I see why I was in a relationship with certain energies. I didn't waste my time. God needed me to see it for myself so that when my loved ones transition on, I don't feel like I'm just helpless and I'm by myself and I'm not catching the messages. You got to pay attention to the body languages of your loved ones too. Non-duality. Let your authentic humanity shine forth while also bowing to the inner divine. You can become fluent at doing both. So this is about duality, your divine masculine to your divine feminine. Make sure they are balanced, meaning that as a divine feminine sign, you're receiving messages and you are protecting your soil so much so that you don't have a problem taking some kind of action, bringing out that sword. My heart is not confused. I love me more than I love you. An act of self-care. I love me and my inner child more than I love you. And recognizing that some energies, like I said before, they will drain you dry. They want to make it all about the, some.
Well, I'm gonna take a break for a while. Conserve some of this damn power here, because gotta enjoy the power talking they going up on the electricity bill. Nobody